Welcome back to Infinite Geek Talk, an ongoing conversation between your hosts, former DC Comics editor and owner of Infinite Heroes in Watertown, Connecticut, Paul Santos, who is joined by Keith Field, co-founder of Gorilla Valley Games and the owner of Rat's Nest Studios. Let's listen in.
And he's funny sometimes, and he certainly likes to say shit. I guess that's Disney's version of a stark, violent, grindhouse superhero. A guy who's funny and says shit a lot.
But it's still campy. I really don't like campy stuff. And the show, it's trying to be like intellectual and be like, oh, it's pulpy or serious.
Yeah.
But then he's bumbling. And
tonally, it's off.
It's totally off, yeah.
I love the costume.
Both costumes.
Yeah. And I thought that was cute. The way that the Mr. Knight costume manifested, even though, obviously there's a different expectation for the Mr. Knight character. For those, that costume, relatively modern take on Moon Knight, was sort of an EC Comics homage / the spirit take on Moon Knight that my hero, Warren Ellis, put forward.
But again, he's bumbling.
But now again, he's bumbling and kind of, ooh, I'm strong now.
Right.
But it's still cute enough. There's enough craft there. I will say I enjoy whenever, rather than use a character from a Rich Rogues gallery, we seize two panels from one limited series and take a random Nazi's name, attach it to an entirely different villain in another miniseries, and have Ethan Hawke play it. That's what you paid $1 billion for, to play Dr. Frankenstein. But whatever this hodgepodge character is that he's fighting against, he's pretty compelling. He's doing a solid enough job being, strained.
I'm almost on his side. I need to know more about how this are you going to do evil in the future detector works? Because I don't think that's very well defined. I know he's the bad guy.
But, it is what it is.
Like, what could that old lady possibly do in the next, half a decade of her life?
She, 2 years from there, the next Hitler.
Right.
Spooky stuff, Paul. It involved Kmart. But yeah, it is what it is. It's not Moon Knight, but I try not to be that guy. It's like Disney Spawn.
That's a good way to put it.
And with all that comes with that, and I'm just not digesting it.
I think I'd forgive all of it if Stephen Grant wasn't the weird, like Matthew Broderick type of comedic lead, like this weird, oh golly, oh gee, I'm an idiot.
That's the Disney touch, man.
Yeah,
that's the Disney
I hate
touch.
that.
Rich, have you seen it at all? I know you're a Disney Plus man.
No, I haven't seen it.
This was my test to myself. As those words left my mouth and all of my genius, I said, if based on Rich's response, if Rich says he hasn't seen it, my next words will determine whether or not I like it. And honestly, the words that almost left my mouth were, yeah, don't bother.
Oh.
So yeah, I think right there I made my decision. I'm gonna continue with this thing, but I can't recommend it to someone yet.
I'll tell you how I've been using my Disney Plus time. I've restarted watching The Simpsons from season 1. So
very good.
That's what I'm doing.
So you have 11 seasons ahead of you.
Correct. Yes.
And then you'll begin again.
And then one again. Right.
Yes. Because that is as far as The Simpsons went. 11 seasons.
Minus the Michael Jackson episode, because they've still taken that out.
That's true. We are not allowed to hear, Lisa, it's your birthday.
I have it committed to memory. I do not need to see it.
I have the DVD, so I'm fine.
Well, the truth of the matter is I've committed for the first 11 seasons to memory. So
there we go, ladies and gentlemen. One of us has a superpower.
Yeah, it's true.
I gesture to Richard the Soundman, who has committed the first 11 seasons, at least, of The Simpsons to memory. I suffered any number of blows to the head as a child, and they have robbed me of whatever is needed in a mind to ever retain any line of any song or media accurately.
Oh, shit.
It's true. I can't recall anything from memory. It's terrifying, really. I call it field syndrome. Even the most basics of in song, I cannot ever commit anything. Obviously the the elementary school rhymes, the Farajacas of the world. But beyond that, nothing. No power whatsoever.
I torment my significant other when a beginning of a Simpsons episode rolls. I will say a line from somewhere near the end of it, and we play a little game as to when and it comes up. And
I can generally play a similar
game. Like we were watching, for instance, and the credits are rolling. I see the first few minutes of the episode, and I turn to her and I say, "Let the fools have their tartar sauce." And
very good.
15 minutes later, there's Mr. Burns telling the fools they can have their tartar sauce.
I understand this power. I will not boast, but I do possess some minor mastery.
I torment my wife by making Simpsons quotes randomly that she does not get and cracks me up every single time.
I understand that.
God bless those 11 seasons of perfection that granted us all some measure of this personality marker.
Every time I get a video game and I'm putting in my name, I don't type it in, but I say Thrill House. And she's like, what? And I'm like,
oh, no. No, mine's poo or ass.
Oh, all right. Nice. That's good.
I will offer then that I don't think I've been won over by the Moon Knight yet.
No, Moon Knight, I'm hoping, for everybody who doesn't know, it seems that Marvel has a pattern of putting in a secret character in all their shows.
Sure.
Your Agatha Harkness, Ultron.
Agatha Harkness, the queen of villainy.
Right. The Contessa, Elaine from Seinfeld.
She's the worst! I don't care how committed you are to the cult of these damn movies. As much as I love her, she looks so stupid in every scene she's done in every Marvel thing.
But I will tell you...
Go home, Skrull!
It'll be saved.
Spoiler!
If she's the Skrull Queen, I will completely forgive her. Because she'll ham it up so good.
And she will be so friggin' hot green. Yes.
Yeah.
But that aside, family podcast... she looks so stupid as the Contessa, and it breaks my heart.
Yeah, if anybody, look up Contessa Marvel, and you'll be very disappointed that they casted
the Contessa de la Fontaine, who eventually was ruined beyond all comprehension by a man named Bendis, was a character who, for the initiated, represented a dawning sexuality in the Marvel universe. Care of our friend Staranko.
Yeah, think of a more competent Bond girl. Than you've ever seen, like more on par with Nick Fury than just a sex pot.
Indeed, Nick Fury. Hey, what? Paul, do me a favor.
Yeah.
What's Nick Fury's full title over the years?
Shield?
Yeah, no. The marquee title that would grace any cover of any series that Nick Fury featured in.
So Nick Fury, Agent of Shield.
Nick Fury, Agent of Shield. It's sort of organic and funny that we came to this place. And would you say Nick Fury was a member of Shield?
Yeah.
What's that, Paul?
Yeah, I mean...
you would, wouldn't you? You would.
Oh, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah, wait, now, see, here's the thing. Certainly you might kill me. You're a living, breathing man in this earth, but... it is more likely that it will be mutant kind that overwhelms us under the banner of its eventual master, Factor 3. Would you agree that an agent of Factor 3 might be a member then?
No, because Factor 3 is a super...
Nick Fury, agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
But Nick Fury is an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes.
S.H.I.E.L.D. is an international organization.
Yep.
Factor 3 is a superhero team.
Has no boundaries or borders. I dare suggest an agent of that organization is an even more intimate member of the organization than Nick Fury would be to S.H.I.E.L.D. Thank you very much. Before this record, I gave Paul a reward. I told him I would bring his X-Men rating back up to an 83% based on these Factor 3 shenanigans.
What was that back?
Ladies and gentlemen.
What was that before?
Ladies and gentlemen, that was down from, 82 was bad.
Okay.
But you're back there now. So
okay.
82% again based on this just painful, excruciating proof from the lips of the master himself, young Master Pauline. Now,
all right.
Now that all having been said, Moon Knight may be odd and sort of elusive right now, but There is one bit of Marvel multimedia entertainment which we would have spoke of last week, but sadly we had to wait a spell before sharing our ongoing conversation with you all. Paul and I went together to a magnificent buffet in beautiful Wallingford, Connecticut.
Delicious.
And afterwards, the Pacific Grill. It is a heavenly place. And then we went and saw what will certainly be the dawn of a powerful new franchise. A fist off the head of all of us. Sweet Morbius, the living vampire, the motion picture.
I think that film is a tragedy because I feel bad for everyone involved. I feel bad for everyone involved in that film because we'll never know what they actually made. But the studio, for some reason, was like, oh, thanks for your film. We're going to throw it into a meat grinder. And we're also going to make it so that no one is actually editing the movie. It's just going to fall. The scenes are just going to happen, randomly. And we'll make sure it's in chronological order. And that's pretty much it. That's all we're doing.
Ladies and gentlemen, I could be no prouder of Paulito if he had read those words off of a card. Because,
right.
I mean, if that's all we said, I mean, that's enough.
That's the whole movie.
He could have stopped at Morbius is a tragedy because that is the truest thing that was said. It astounded me in its lack of anything resembling craft. Now,
but it's edit. I think I meant what I said though. I could tell
someone was able to.
Someone in the editing room killed that movie.
Well,
killed it.
Well, here's the thing though. I can't totally agree because I don't want to be one of those guys. I mean, every moron on a podcast sits around and pretends they've been to movie school, and so they throw around a term like ADR with great impunity.
But I may or may not do that.
But I have to be that guy, Paul, because the movie Morbius should stand as the worst example of ADR in the modern age. The cop, the friggin' cop with the cybernetic hand, Tyrese. Number one, there is a character in this movie who does not have a cybernetic hand, but we can clearly see he has a cybernetic hand in certain scenes that they have done a bad job of shadowing throughout the movie after those scenes that an editor decided came after other scenes in which this character has a cybernetic frigging hand. I want to see how long I can go without ever accidentally dropping the F-bomb. I will point out that Paul so far is ahead on the F-bomb count.
That was justified, I think.
No, it
was justified.
It was.
I'm going to stand by that.
I'm very proud of myself. Now, I'm not sending anyone to other media. I'm not flexing. I'm not hamming it up. But as someone who's had a presence in the world of podcastery previously over the past 10 years, I tend to work a little blue. So I'm enjoying the level of dignity I've brought to this operation by choosing to champion mutant rights over someone who claims to be the #1 X-Men fan.
Oh, I don't think I've ever claimed that, but...
Well, whatever, X-Freak.
I don't want people coming after me for,
Okay. So anyway, I've stayed classy.
That's true. Well, it's mind-boggling from just the amount of scenes from the trailer.
Oh, anyway, yes, the ADR is miserable. Tyrese, I was reading his lips.
Yeah.
There were 2 scenes where the dialogue in no way matched what was going on in his mouth. Thank you for saving my arm was clearly thank you for saving my life. And it went on for some time.
Yeah.
That he's not mouthing along. It was more believable to me when a man saved a pair of young lovers from an alien who may have turned into a green ape at his death. And the secret agent in question announced, "Smile! This is a night for lovers!" This was a scene, of course, from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla.
Oh, yes.
That was more believable to me than what I saw in Morbius. That's a problem, Paul.
There's a lot of that going on. Like I said, in the trailer, I think half the trailer didn't make it into the movie, which is
let's start talking about the trailer.
Yeah.
Now, here was the deal, okay? And we talked about this when last we were eavesdropped upon.
Right.
The reason I was excited about Morbius, do you recall what I said all those moments ago, Paul? was that he was going to be fighting the Vulture or encountering the Vulture in some capacity, and those were my favorite Morbius stories.
Right. When he fought supervillains.
When he fought supervillains. It was always interesting to me to see if the villain was going to make it, because the stakes are so much higher. You're fighting a vampire. The recent miniseries about the Melter, blah, blah. Yeah, that's what I had talked about. So to me, tonally, it was going to be like that, right? Right?
Well,
and instead we got nothing. Instead, we got this... Okay, well it goes back even further than that. The graffiti on a wall, the headline of a newspaper. There's a scene in which he takes down someone and says, "I'm Venom." And I said, "Just kidding, Dr. Michael Morbius, at your service."
That whole line was cut.
All of this was cut out of the movie.
Yeah.
Anything that would have tied it to this other...
The cops being in the park, gone.
Cut.
His the surrogate father asking if he could control it. The urges, gone.
Ladies and gentlemen, the thing, and this is why I almost got ahead of myself and bring up the Vulture thing first. Hey, Dr. Mike, ye should stay in touch. That scene is not in the movie. Why? Because we got a new stripped down scene. And Paul, I need to recreate the scene.
Okay.
I recreated it for my game design partner, Sweet Gordon, yesterday, and he looked up afterwards and said, "My God, I'm sick."
And to be
I said, "Right, you got sick just for my retelling, much less seeing it happen on a screen."
What's even more bizarre is that Michael Keaton scene is in the movie. He just doesn't speak.
Right.
It's just him walking out of prison, and they're cutting the parts.
So here's the
where
scene.
he's speaking.
Theater of the mind, as they say. Imagine, if you will, a frozen screenshot of the tear in the sky from Spider-Man No Way Home. It's like someone holding an animation cell. It's so awkward and dirty of a shot.
Do you think they asked Disney for the special effects, and they were like, "Absolutely not"?
No, go on YouTube.
You're right.
You sons of bitches.
Yeah, get a still from a trailer.
So basically, a still from that movie. Now, what is the significance of this? If you haven't seen Spider-Man No Way Home, shame on you. It's magnificent. But as I said, quote unquote, moments ago, my favorite of the Marvel experiences. The theater-going adventures. It establishes there was this tear in the multiverse, and at some point, everyone throughout the multiverse who knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man was manifesting within this sort of spatial rift. And if they didn't set things right, all of these things were going to pour through, and the multiverse was going to bleed out, and there was going to be this centripetal event. One of those characters that was in that rift was presumably the actual Marvel Cinematic Universe Michael Keaton Vulture. So we then hard cut to an empty jail cell, and Michael Keaton appears in the jail cell
in like an Asylum Films level special effects
of Energy World.
Yeah, it's bad.
I will point out, film continuity wise, he is an appreciably different visual of Adrian Toomes. But it is obviously Adrian Toomes. He is older than the character was when he showed up in Homecoming. This would suggest, again, weird narrative clumsiness, whatever it is to follow. So this older Adrian Toomes manifests, but it is the Marvel Cinematic Universe character, because he then looks around his cell and goes, "I hope this place got better food than the last one."
What a strange line.
He magically knows what other characters needed to go through a Greek tragedy to get through, that he understands he's been multiverse shifted to another continuum, because of course he does. Sony. So we then cut to a national news broadcast. Adrian Toomes released from jail. Here's what the newscaster says. In a continuance of this shocking story that all the world is watching, the mystery man Adrian Toomes, that there is no legal record of, who appeared in a jail cell on a video camera several weeks ago, has been released from jail because nobody knows who he is or how he got there. So the world continues to wonder what's going to happen next for mystery man Adrian Toomes. We then cut to Morbius driving a fast car. He's angry and feral. The fast car stops on a country road near a billboard. It looks just like Back to the Future. And He gets out, and then what comes streaking from the heavens? The most video game boss-looking version of the Vulture you ever want to see. Streaks down and lands, takes off his helmet.
No helmet was taken off.
Oh, right.
He kept it on.
Forgive me.
Yeah.
That's theater of my mind. Hey, Dr. Mike. Oh, I'm glad you responded to my summons. This is a scary world for good guys like us. I think maybe I know some other guys. Maybe the 6 of us are going to do something about it.
He also mentioned Spider-Man.
And your ass Spider-Man, he's a troubling fella.
And then Morbius, all he says...
Morbius turned feral.
Fascinating.
And he's like, go ahead.
Yeah, all he says is fascinating.
Fascinating.
In a shot that was not shot at that location. If you noticed, it looked weird.
Ultimately, am I part of this conspiracy group that believes that entire Vulture was a CGI thing? Yeah, I think I'll join.
Yeah.
This thing is, we can either attack it as geeks and talk about all the geeky problems with it, but I choose not to at this moment. I will simply suggest, hello, Sony. My name is Keith Charles Field. The man sitting next to me is Paulito Little Pauly Santos. I would like to suggest you people are evil. You don't know at all. At all.
I just think they're
just
incompetent.
how cruel you are, really. Because here's, Paul, what I've come to believe. They know they have a built-in audience for whatever garbage they release. So if they continue to make these cheap, vomitous movies that they have to put no craft or effort into, that any random narrative can give rise to, that best intentions are led into blind walls, that they're willing to just cobble something together in editing with the same confidence that a man once looked at another fellow and said, hey, edit a sequel out of the original movie. And so Garbage Day was born. We got Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. I'm suggesting that same philosophy rules at the House of Sony, where the Americans will pay to see this garbage because there is such a cult of personality behind Marvel that as long as we let Marvel make a shiny, nice movie for every one of our 4 garbage movies, if we can just squeak them through on the basis of post-crisis or post-credit scenes, these films will be considered a chapter and they will matter. I think it's that jaded. I appreciate the hustle, but it produces garbage like Morbius that didn't even have customized credits. They used some sort of vector graphics screensaver from 1998 as the closing credits of Morbius.
Yeah, that was weird. I will say, too, I think this... I get what you're saying. I would be shocked, though, if they didn't panic and said, oh, we can't do this again. Because the movie only opened...
Well, that's the thing. You can only trade on the fact that Spider-Man No Way Home was a real movie once or twice.
Right, and they failed because this movie made...
Good luck, Madam effing Webb.
Right. This movie...
How dare you, Sony? How dare you? Number one...
We'll see if that comes out, to be fair. I don't think it's going to come out now.
Number one. Hello, everyone. I'm Keith Field. There are 13 women that own the true north of my heart, and 3 of them are cartoon characters / comic book characters. One of them is Felicia Hardy, a.k.a. the Black Cat. When I hear that she's going to be a supporting character in a Madam Web movie?
Bizarre.
I need a catapult, and I need to know who made these decisions so these people can be fired into the sun.
I think you're going to get people at Sony to actually realize they can't do this.
And I don't know who this Peyton List is. Why are all the Randy boys online obsessed with this Peyton List? And why do I not? I don't feel she's a worthy Felicia. Because ultimately, I don't want my sweet waifu played by a live-action person. She was signed by Sony, quote, for a Spider-Man movie. Apparently, there has been an online petition or effort to get her cast as the Black Cat.
Is she the girl?
She is not the Black Cat.
Is she the girl from Euphoria?
Oh, probably. I don't watch Euphoria. I suppose I should, culturally.
Yeah, right. I don't know if that's who I'm thinking. I might be wrong. I would...
Rich, who's Peyton List? Figure this out. I don't know. I'm an old man, and I'm, not necessarily the target audience for whatever she does.
I'm like, well, I don't know who... maybe I do know who that is.
But she's supposedly going to be the Black Cat. I don't approve. She's not old enough. or impossibly nubile enough or sassy enough. Ultimately, she's not a cartoon character brought to life by a ray gun.
She is a nobody.
She's not a nobody. Like I said, all the naughty boys are obsessed with her online.
She was
the naughtying and whatnot.
Man, she was the sister, I guess, in Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Well, I can see why all the Randy men are after her then, because that's healthy. I don't think that's her only claim to fame, though. There must be something else.
It's what's her face from
You're failing at internet.
Cobra Kai. She's Tori.
You're all dumb for liking Cobra Kai. There, I've said it.
Wow, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
That's not
I'm just throwing a little gas at y'all. You got to shake things up once in a while.
I will say, in terms of casting, if this is true, not a great. I agree with you. Not a great casting.
No, that's not my sweet Felicia.
No. Yeah, but you're wrong about Cobra Kai.
Oh,
but
moving on. Whatever, man-child.
I mean,
grow up.
Me and most of America love that show.
Yeah, because you're all dumb. That's right, America.
I would give those creators the X-Men franchise in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
No, I'd give them the X-Men in a heartbeat. What do I care? They can't do anything worse than the rest of the garbage movies you people pretended to like. Paul. All right, we got a lot of X-Men movies stretching out before us in the Sahara.
Right.
Let me ask you.
Right.
Which are the good ones? You get to pick 2.
Oh, just 2?
2. And, you know what? We're going to include Deadpool in that mix.
Oh, if it's only 2 and you put a gun to my head, it would have to be Days of Futures Past. Mm-hmm. And, oh man, that's rough.
Truths, Paul. We speak only truths on this podcast.
I gotta go with Logan. Logan and Days of Futures Past.
All right. You know what you just pulled off? A pass.
Because you agree?
You gotta, well, if you're gonna ask me to grade you on the Keith meter.
Right.
Well, then you only got a 50%. Because you got it half right.
Okay.
The correct answer. You see, it was a trap.
Right.
I had to qualify it.
Right.
Was indeed Logan.
Right.
And the first Deadpool movie.
See, I think Days of Futures Past is a better movie than Deadpool.
I found it garish.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I thought it was cute, but it was garish.
You wanted Kitty Pryde. It's not accurate enough. It should be Kitty Pryde traveling into the past.
Well, maybe. There was just something missing.
No,
there was something missing. I'll tell you what it was. All right, I'm going to say it. Now, okay, I'm going to lose credibility with some, but perhaps gain credibility with others.
Well, I can't
this
wait to hear
podcast is called Infinite Geek Talk, isn't it? So it's
a name on the marquee.
That there's going to be some things that come out of me that diminish my reputation as a man of the world and a champion of dignity and honor. Some things are just going to be raw and geeky.
I can't wait to hear this.
So here it goes. For years, I have run, and I continue to run, a Marvel tabletop game. It is an alternate take on the Marvel Universe, of course. I will not get deep into its continuity tonight. But for anyone who is curious, it's a lovely place, and I shudder to think of a world in which its secrets die with the handful of beautiful souls that have experienced it. But any one of these individuals will be able to tell you that a major NPC in my campaign is Bolivar Trask. And to see Bolivar Trask reimagined as Peter Dinklage in a lab coat made me sick. That is not my beautiful Bolivar, a fellow who is rather inspired as a take of the whole God loves man kills take on the Reverend Stryker, that there's a biblical angle.
Well, that's the problem.
And a mutant killing angle. It works. It's very imperial and regal. And instead we get, Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the Bryan Singer movies, that there's some casting and some story decisions that you're like, I agree with all of that.
Sure.
Your Hugh Jackmans, your Patrick Stewarts, your Ian McKellens. But yeah, I wasn't in love with Peter Dinklage as Bolivar Trask.
Good. So we all agree my distaste for the contrast in casting between my version of the character in my tabletop game and this small, lovable man. It's viable.
Who would you cast as Bulver Trask? I'm never good at this game, so I always throw it to other people.
Who's the guy who played Remus Lupin in the Harry Potter movies?
Oh, perfect. That's actually perfect casting.
Boom!
That's perfect. To give the audience an idea of like who should be.
You know, Paul, I
Trask.
suppose I'm a vulnerable enough little turtle dove that I could reveal here in the context of the podcast that I always felt I would have made a hell of a movie producer. I have such an eye for casting. It's one of my skills.
I mean, you couldn't do a worse job than most movie producers.
I'm not going to take him and put him in a lab coat.
Yeah.
I'm going to put him in a little black slick suit with a P on its chest.
Also
welcome to Keats, Canada.
I also don't. As much as I like that movie, I don't love the retro.
I don't like the time sync thing, but I'm proud of them for sticking with it.
Yeah, but I don't like the way they look. The weird jet engine thing. I don't mind the future Nimrod Sentinels. I don't mind them the way they look. I don't like how. See the more, and this is nerdy stuff. That's what I mean. Days of Future Past is an excellent movie.
I don't like that the Sentinels didn't get to be Sentinels in the retro scenes. That they were just Magneto's little puppets.
Yeah, that was weird.
That bothered me. It diminished their credibility for me at least, as an origin point for what would then become the Nimrod
even like
Sentinels.
an army.
If we're going to take it on the geek slide that way.
And even like the army of, for lack of a better term, Nimrod Sentinels.
Yeah.
Nimrod, for everybody who doesn't know, is a one specific Uber Sentinel that has adaptive capabilities. He adapts to mutants' powers, and he's very, very difficult to destroy.
Nimrod was a heroic, quote-unquote, ultimate sentinel from the future who devastated the Hellfire Club and caused major casualty upon the X-Men in his first appearance, and I was sure was going to be the next great force in X-Men villainy. We were then treated to decades of crappy Nimrod stories until a beautiful angel named Jonathan Hickman returned the character to glorious presence and Class A villaindom during the current era of X-Men.
And they hid that Nimrod was going to be a big deal. I remember reading House of X, Powers of X, and halfway through I realized, oh my God, they're making Nimrod.
Did it. We got the Nimrod we were promised in 1986. God bless you, Hickman.
Yeah, and that's why with the Days of Futures Past, having like an army of Nimrods doesn't really make sense because that's just
it was fine.
Kind of
you calling them Nimrods is
basically what they are.
Yep.
And also they're weird. They have their powers from a weird Mystique and Rogue gene thing.
Yep.
And I'm no scientist guy, but I don't know if genetics goes into mechanical. Like,
stop with that
so
kind of
dumb.
bull. It's comics. Leave it alone. It's fine.
Dumb.
Living machines.
This also goes to my. I'm gonna really take a weird tangent here. I don't like weird fan fiction stuff.
Okay.
That is too out there with no explanation. My perfect example is more recent.
Yeah.
They did an animated film, Justice League Apocalypse War.
Ugh.
And they're like, oh, Darkseid made Parademon Doomsdays.
No.
And you're like, that's just word salad. That's not real. That's like a fanfic.
I agree 100%. There's only one problem with what you said.
They're stronger than Darkseid, and they're they can kill anything.
Those
that's
cartoons, man.
Were
now I'm gonna want to be the fact
poison.
that you're about. Okay,
I'm about to go
ladies and gentlemen, I'll point out he called them poison.
Poison.
The thing I was going to correct you on was you called them films. I don't feel any of those things deserve to be called a film. You said
they're
you called it like
minutes.
fan fiction.
Yeah,
they're garbage cartoons for the people that are hungry for the wonderful animated universe. And they keep coming back tentatively, hopeful that some sliver will be there. Well, Kevin Conroy's Batman, maybe this will sink back to the good thing that died so many years ago. No. Even the stuff that is supposedly based in that universe that has come out after that golden era, after Justice League Unlimited wrapped, nope, sorry, it's all fallen short. All of it is a pale echo of what we left behind.
You mean Batman, Harley Quinn, and
Justice League. But let me say that.
Yeah.
I actually liked the Batman Harley Quinn thing. And the Harley Quinn cartoon on HBO, is an exception. It's a whole other animal. I friggin' love it.
I give you Batman Harley Quinn, but the actress they picked to voice Harley Quinn was a huge mistake.
Nah, that Melissa Ranch is adorable.
Yeah,
I don't care that it was a different Harley. She's
no,
adorable.
I don't mind it was different because I like Kaylee Coco on the animated series, but in the movie, it was really annoying hearing her talk. Really annoying.
It wasn't annoying, but it's a weird choice,
right?
You know that you're gonna, and then to go over to Kaylee,
Much better.
Yeah, it's. But that makes it even weirder in a way, right? Because they're friends and co-stars for years. But yeah, I really love the HBO series. I didn't think I would in the first 3 or 4 episodes, as I think we said earlier. It was a little bit of an effort to get through, but still, get through it, I did.
Yeah, and
I was glad that I did, because everything that's followed has been super awesome, and they should keep that thing going forever. That and Doom Patrol. To hell with everything else. Hey, that Titans thing, you just go ahead and burn it now.
How much have you watched of that?
It is smell, Paul. I watched the first one, and then I'll pop in here and there to look at things.
No.
I'll look at scenes on the YouTubes when the geeks I venerate speak of such things. No, it's dumb. Sorry, no.
Yeah, it's not great. But that goes back to my thing. I do not like weird, and it's lazy writing, right?
Of course.
It's not like the kryptonite. It's not like the kryptonite MacGuffin or yellow for Hal Jordan's ring. It's more like, oh, we got Darkseid. I'm gonna make a god that's like 30
like
dark
fan
sides.
fiction.
And
Fan
you're
fiction.
like, what?
These are garbage movies for no one.
Right.
That's why I'm proud of you that you led with Poison, because garbage movie sounds a little softer.
And I want to make this.
For no one.
I want to
makes it
make
harsh.
this clear because I've worked for
Yes.
DC and Warner Bros. For so long.
Yes.
This is not the fault of the producers or the writers. It is the studio that has told them
correct.
this is the garbage we want.
Yes.
And they are sometimes some of them aren't talented. I'm not going to go who's who. You figure it out on your own. But the studios are the problem. The studios are the people, who are interfering, saying we want this or that.
Paul, I've spent every waking moment since the early 2000s wondering what would happen if a Justice League made up of heroes that I don't love and Batman fought the Fatal Five.
Oh man,
Woo!
that was
What a treat! Yeah!
I will call out the director on that though, because he got in a lot of trouble because in the DVD, I think it was DVD, he was filmed somehow. It got made to YouTube, where the man goes, "Yeah, Jessica Cruz, who's the female Earth Green Lantern, was my favorite Green Lantern ever since I was a kid." That man was in his 30s. Jessica Cruz was created when he was like 25, maybe earlier, older, 28.
He got. If you don't want the elder nerds to say things that will make them accused of gatekeeping and being douchey,
just don't lie.
Just don't friggin' lie. I don't care if it's your first project and you have no idea who these people are. Don't make up narratives.
No, the animated. Let me tell you, like these animated, and again, it's. I've liked pieces of some of them, right? Like I've watched all of them because I'm a DC fan.
Sure,
so I'm a masochist when it comes to that.
It's gross.
There's certain aspects like Death of Superman. I thought that movie was pretty good.
Yeah, I wouldn't even call it a movie.
Well, it's just him fighting Doomsday, right?
Here's the thing.
That's all he needed to do.
There are moments, right? There are moments that play with the same satisfaction that a pleasant surprise of a cinema and a video game might bring you.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's a cool little sequence they did. But if you watch a bunch of them, you realize something, oh my God. Like, when enough time goes by, they produce like the same movie again. Like, they're tonally, like Return of Superman and Son of Batman, or whatever they ended up calling that, are this weird, like, clone of each other.
Yeah.
Almost beat for beat.
Yeah.
The same things are happening to the same characters. It's a washer's room of just death.
And
because these are super edgelord cartoons, too, where the body count is jacked up.
It's the Batman.
Get ready, supervillains.
The Batman ones are even more bizarre. It's like Batman Bad Blood.
Because you dying.
Where Batwoman shows up and should be about the crime Bible and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But the Court of Owls are there. But like, why? Or like Reign of Superman. Mongol's supposed to be the bad guy. Mongols, just a big alien with a Death Star type ship. No, it's Darkseid.
Gotta be that Darkseid, because they
mofos
won't let go of friggin' Darkseid.
And we've talked about how much I love Darkseid.
Oh,
but he's been overused and poorly overused. Because I'll take overused correctly.
Listen, my spirit father, Grant Morrison, tried so hard to brush away decades of overuse, return Darkseid to this simpler, more primal, borderline Lovecraftian form.
Darkseid is
great.
That's like the best thing he's ever come up with.
I raise my arm and a million arms raise up in chorus. Darkseid is. It was brilliance. Final Crisis tried hard to tap that same spirit, while idiots continue to overuse the character around him. Trying to crumble away, trying to explain all those awful, awful, awful stories that happened between those two story beats. And it just didn't work. It keeps sludging back in. The simple. And then someone says, well, I just think there's a simple elegance to the character. Here he comes again with Calabac and Kanto and all the gang. Shined up and look exactly like they did in 1974. No one loves them. No one loves them. People pretend to, because it represents the highest form of flattery to the memory of Kirby, to suggest that that era is even better than what came before. It's not. They were failed action figure pitches. Let it go, Raphael.
I will say that Calabac has at least changed designs almost every time they've brought him back.
I liked when Byrne had him start to look like Darkseid. I thought that was
cool. Yeah,
that was quickly abandoned.
That was abandoned. I also like the idea of Kanto. I just don't like the Renaissance.
I like the idea of all of them. I just don't like any of them.
No, I can't. No, you can't. Werner, whatever that World War I
don't
freaking guy.
Vermin Wunderbar
there we go.
is far from the least offensive member of the Darkseid elite.
Do you think there's someone worse than Vermin Wunderbar?
I do.
Who?
Granny friggin' goodness.
No, too many people. I know where you're coming from.
Too many people have drank the friggin' Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
It all sucks.
They hear, what's his face? Who voiced...
My favorite character in the Fourth World is Hyman. Say it with me, everyone. Hyman.
I don't know.
Hyman. Yep, he's my favorite member of the Fourth World cast. Hyman. What, Paul?
No, nothing.
Didn't you have a Hyman lunchbox?
No.
When you celebrated the brilliance of Kirby?
Well, we've talked about the elite, but it's ironic, though. The actual Darkseid family is more interesting. Like, his dad is very... Hagra's interesting.
Yuga Khan.
Yeah.
They are interesting.
Fine. It's like the brute.
Because, they were shown in one panel, and then other people flushed them out into character.
For those who don't know about the Fourth World, it's like a good idea that has never really hit its
Paul, I
zenith.
have to proudly offer once again.
Okay.
I'm going to plug someone. The best accounting and the cleanest accounting of this story that I've enjoyed was on a YouTube channel. A fellow I think the channel is called Spectre Creative. The fella is an insider from the world of action figure and toy making. Mm-hmm. Apparently, he has his fans and his detractors, but he's a big deal. He was very involved in a lot of the development and marketing of and history of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. And I spent a summer afternoon in the grips of Mother Nature, watching episode after episode of his fascinating channel. And one of the episodes was about Jack King Kirby in the Fourth World. So as the story goes, when the good people at Mattel realized they were idiots for passing on a fellow by the name of George Lucas and his Star Wars franchise, they decided they'd had to have something to go head-to-head with the dominant leader in the world of action figure sales. That, of course, being the Star Wars line from Kenner. And so they decided they would try to design something with all of the appropriate gusto of Star Wars that they could then launch a line of action figures for. So the plan was to get the master, Jack Kirby, to design what would be the next big thing in comics, designed as a launching point for a family of action figures. The result was the Fourth World. So when you consider this as someone who is specifically aping Star Wars and you have a character named Darkseid, I'm sorry.
You've lost.
It's
He's
pathetic.
Lost. You've lost. He's lost you.
It's pathetic, and I'm done. I can no longer pretend to like this just transparent new Coke advertising leaflet. I'm sorry. There's not enough craft there. Oh, Ryan. But at any rate, listen. You want to talk about the genius of Jack Kirby? Let's talk about the Infant Terrible, one of my favorite characters in all of the history of Marvel. I will not ever pretend to love the Fourth World stuff. Garbajo. Yeah. Grande. So, that being the case, didn't catch on. This would continue, because guess who else? Guess who else was part of Operation We Need a New Star Wars?
Who's that?
The Eternals. They were in... So...
But the Eternal... but the Eternals are not... I mean, the Fourth World is much more successful than the Eternals.
Obviously,
you know.
Paul, nobody liked the Eternals except me. Because I really like what's his face, Carcass. I always thought he was a cool dude. So I have every appearance of Carcass.
There can't be that many.
No, they're not. There's no great achievement there, my friend. He's my favorite Marvel character, so I'm glad he wasn't in the Eternals movie. But anyway.
Right. I mean, this is
so yeah. That's where the Fourth World came from, and there are people who have risen to the challenge of telling compelling Fourth World stories. I would argue Jack Kirby wasn't one of them. I love everything Byrne did with those characters. And here's why, and this will sound like a backhanded slap, and it's not. I mean this. Given the fact that they were all flash, no substance characters, there's something, but there is a little bit of a hippie beat that runs by them, but nothing significant.
Right.
In my opinion. This is all my opinion. You're welcome to love them. I'm not trying to convert your minds. You're all wrong if you disagree. The thing is, there's not much there, but the Byrne stories are very surface as well, but he evolves concepts, so it's neat. It's like saying, we'll continue to have this very cold science fiction fantasy story roll forward, and he's honoring it by keeping it cold and soulless. I don't know if you'll agree, but that's why I've dug it.
I think the problem is...
Whereas Morrison specifically tried to do, like, totem stories and god stories.
Right.
Which is neat.
Well, I think the Fourth World, too, it works when the characters are used in, say, Justice League and more as, like, members of the DC universe. Like Big Barda. And everybody forgets that.
The cast-off characters, yes. Mr. Miracle's a fine character. Right. Big Barda's a cool character.
I think even Orion could be used... Like, remember when New 52 started?
Right.
And they brought in a newer version of Orion...
for
Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman, and then he appeared elsewhere, and the appearances contradicted each other.
Yeah,
so that example doesn't win me over.
But I like.
But you can do something interesting with any cipher character.
But Brian Azzarello made a pretty good Orion.
I guess
you didn't like him as like a cockier...
I would have liked any other lesser known hero in that same role. Honestly,
but
rather than a fourth god character, there are 2 or 3 Herculeses. Atlas. The Atlas that James Robinson tried to go make villain.
There's a weird rabbit hole. How many Hercules exist in the DC universe? For Marvel, there's one Hercules.
As far as I could tell you, I could count 4.
So there's Hercules Unbound. Whoever who I don't know where that guy is.
Byrne's Mr. Champion Hercules.
Mr. Champion Hercules. The Terry Dodson. Did they bring back? Was that his? Remember?
I can't speak intelligently about that. I'm not sure.
They brought back Hercules. I just don't know if it was an established character.
There was a Hercules that Superman encountered in the Silver Age.
Yep.
You can certainly argue that is the same as one of the other Herculeses. I would not, because these are significantly different characters. And Batman, I believe, encountered a Hercules by time travel, but you could probably sync him up with the Superman one. But yeah, this is the point. It's that as a public domain fantasy character, any number of appearances, but there are specific Herculeses. So I would cut them some slack and say, rather than guess about 12, if you include the Golden Age, I'll say there were probably 4 that you could point to that you can't reconcile together.
And Hercules,
if I had to pick one as the one I'm going to champion and stand by,
it's Ian Champion.
It is going to be the Walt Simonson.
Right.
Yes, of course. Champion. That was bad stuff, Byrne. And I don't know what that egg foo was supposed to be, but it wasn't any less or more offensive than anything else. It was
He
just
didn't
dumb.
create egg foo, though. He brought him back.
No, Byrne's deconstruction / reintroduction, whatever you want to call it, was that he wasn't really a he. It was just this weird dome from the fourth world that when you walked inside of it would convert you into parademons for Darkseid's army. Because again, enough with the Darkseid America.
Now, the weekly 52 series, though, made it more interesting.
Made him,
Foo,
it made him MODOK, and
Yeah.
I thought that was perfectly awesome.
For DC. Yeah, I always have this weird thing that I don't think a lot of people agree with me. I like there being DC and Marvel counterparts.
Oh,
I'm not
love
saying
it,
they
dude.
all need to be like A-listers.
Paul, I will point out that scene.
And so ends another episode of Infinite Geek Talk. Moon Knight gets a meh, but poor Morbius is deemed tragic. Paul gets his X-Men fandom rating up to an 83%. And as it turns out, Keith does not wax on or wax off to Cobra Kai. Do you have something to add to this infinite conversation? Visit the Rat's Nest Studio Facebook page. And don't forget to rate and review the show on your favorite pod platform. Infinite Geek Talk is brought to you by Infinite Heroes Comics, Cards, and Collectibles in Watertown, Connecticut, and Gorilla Valley Games. Infinite Geek Talk is a Rat's Nest production, recorded and engineered by Rich Johnson in the Rat's Nest Studio.